Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Roster drama already happening in the VALORANT world as the new year officially gets underway. TSM making a couple of surprising changes over the last day or so, and therefore big questions being raised as to which players they're going to sign instead. Could Rossy be on the horizon again after the recent Cloud9 drama? What is going on elsewhere as well? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate that. The kickoff tourneys here are coming up relatively shortly. Just a few days time, I think the 11th of January. That's when the China tournament begins, and just a couple of days after that, the rest of the regions get underway as well. So a long season ahead. Again, a pretty spread out season here for VALORANT is going to be happening in 2025, but it's not far away now from when the season is officially back in business, and we've got some drama to discuss from various sources. Firstly, a lot of players grinding on New Year's Eve, obviously, and as Zekken says, not having the best time playing VALORANT on New Year's Eve is probably the dumbest thing that I've done in a while, but like, I'm sure that Sentinels fans will be seeing this and saying, oh, fantastic work, Zekken's putting in the time, he's grinding hard, because of course Sentinels, this time last year, they were in a very nice position going into the season. They just won the Africa TV Invitational Tournament. They went on to win Masters Madrid shortly afterwards as well. Now, this year, it's not looking so good. Obviously, Tens is gone and Sassy is gone. They've made a couple of changes, and good changes on paper, absolutely, but changes that haven't necessarily set the world alight so far compared to, let's say, what NRG have done, where they've been somewhat up and down, but still NRG's successes so far with their new roster with Verno on the team have looked very impressive, and you know, place them right now as the favourites, I guess, in the Americas to make it to Masters Bangkok, and then potentially go one step further as well. This is Sabrosa's run as well over the last couple of days, so not an ideal end to 2024 for him, but of course still part of TSM as a streamer, and TSM may need a couple of players to step into their roster very shortly indeed. Couple of wish lists as well. I know there's been lots of talk from VALORANT players and fans about, well, a couple of these things. Mainly, there's been discussion, at least from the pros, on the replay system, whether there's going to be any update this year on that. There were rumours a while ago that it was this year, maybe start of this year, we were going to start to hear rumours as to, well, not even rumours, but just like an actual update on what's happening with the replay system, whether it's going to happen or not, because certainly for the pros, I mean, trying to go back and watch some VODs, it's a bit of a nightmare that it doesn't exist, especially because VALORANT's been around a rather long time at this point. People are like, is it ever going to arrive? Is there further complications they're running into? They gave an update several months ago to say, look, here's what it kind of looks like, but there's a few complications we got to work through. So, you know, people are manifesting that to arrive. Certainly Chet, maybe among others, if he is still going to be around as a coach for the new season, that's probably where he's going to find himself. But of course, Chet's in a pretty difficult spot because he's currently banned from the VCT. He is allowed to compete again as a coach or even as a player if he wanted to, but let's say as a coach after Masters Bangkok. But still, it's not for sure that he's obviously going to get a great opportunity given that it was with NRG. Now they've got Bonkar in there, they're looking especially good, but Chet still has a good resume on his hands and has worked with many players over the years as well. FNS says this, Happy New Year everyone, don't change, you're all perfect, he says, and like him and Marv continuing to have the back and forth. Of course, we know that these guys were teammates for a while. FNS and Marv are often joking about each other on stream, calling each other out. Maybe it's you know, tongue-in-cheek, maybe it's not sometimes. It's, you know, these guys are still good friends, as an FNS says. Stop attacking my boy, it's a joke and we're brothers, always will be, he says. But at the same time, right, if you are Marved and you're obviously last year with NRG didn't work out, it gets dropped from the team, obviously there was talk about work ethic stuff and whatever, so Marved is gone and now he's not, you know, seemingly getting a good opportunity back into the league easily enough anyway, and FNS has kind of walked back into NRG with a great team and is winning things. I'm sure that Marv can't be too happy about it, but still, obviously these guys are still getting along well, which is nice to see. There was also this Fatinho joining the Barca Esports Club, of course, you know, still cooking around there. Obviously Barca not in the Pro League, but obviously in challenges they're still making waves, and Fatinho is a pretty big signing, I guess, for them to join their roster going into the upcoming season as well. Before we get to the TSM stuff, gotta go through the APAC Players of the Year. So the Valo2 Asia Awards 2024 was presented over the last couple of days, and we saw the following results. The number 2 player of the season was Texture, and you guys can probably guess the number 1 player of the year. Then, of course, if you consider APAC being the entirety of APAC and then China as well, might give you a clue. Of course, it's going to be Kang, right? Who won the World Championship, of course, MVP, and, you know, was just a sensational player this entire year. So it's interesting, right? It makes sense the Valo2 Asia, of course, are doing it in this way, but there was discussions, obviously, because APAC usually refers to, at least the Pacific, typically refers to, the region excluding China in Valorant, but obviously in this case they're going to combine them, which makes a fair bit of sense, and I think deserving winner of the award. Kang Texture, I would say deserving second place as well. These were the other results here. So this goes all the way down to, what is this, like the top 20 or so. Chichu came in third place, then Meteor and Karon of the Gen.G team, then Buzz was up here as well. Some are saying that Buzz is overrated on this list. I don't know, maybe you can argue it either way. Then they have a few other notable players from the EDG roster in Smoggy and others. Mako's here, Flashback's here, Foxy9 just gets onto the list as well. Mind Freaks, something, Devi, Forsaken, Nobody, Seaman as well, of course. I mean, look, you've got to put these guys who won the World Championship on this list in some form or another, and that's where they find themselves in the overall list. But let's talk about another couple of roster changes. We got this from GE. So they've been messing around with things over the last few days, and they confirmed that Deryon is going to be there on Global Esports going forward after, well, a dramatic couple of years for him. Of course, notably, he was part of the Bleed Esports team in recent times, and, all the drama associated with that. Of course, he then, I think, was on Bleed. Then he was off Bleed and ended up on Disguised, right? DSG, who effectively acted as Bleed's Academy roster for some time. And then, of course, it turned out there actually was just no money. I wonder how DSG fared out of all that, right? Just because it seemed to be great. Obviously, after Toast put loads of work into DSG in the Americas and, with Ye and those other guys, and it just didn't work. And there was lots of money effectively thrown down the drain, really. Of course, it was good content, but I felt bad for Toast, the way that team was, honestly handling things a lot of the time, I would say. And then it seemed like DSG had a great opportunity, go over there to APAC, partner with Bleed, and, obviously make that work over there and probably even profit on some level if Bleed have the money to pay them to run their Tier 2 system. But that then runs out shortly afterwards, and I don't know how much of that money ever even arrived, to be fair. But, Deryon is now on Global Esports. So after a difficult time, that's what's happening there. But this was one of the big roster discussions of the last day or so, and that's TSM confirming they're parting ways with XXIF, but also T-Dog as well, like the leader of their team. So they say the following: although our time together was short, we'd like to thank them for their hard work and professionalism during their stay. So, these guys are both gone from the team just as the season is about to be getting underway. So, surprising timing. I think the first thing to note on this, I know this is very small on the screen for you guys, but I'll read through it anyway. T-Dog confirms this was not him getting dropped precisely. This was actually him getting an offer from another team that he was not able to refuse. Difficult to exactly imagine which team is going to give him an opportunity better than the TSM one, but I guess we'll see in the coming days. But as he says, to clear it up, I was offered by another team, I just couldn't refuse it. I was not dropped, I ended up leaving mutually. Don't show any hate to TSM, they've been incredible to me and fair in this entire process. So I guess he got an offer, he went to the team and said, hey, I want to leave, and they said, well, obviously, usually these discussions happen as, okay, I've got this offer that I want to go to, could you give me this amount of money? I might stay. And if you can't, then we go. That maybe is what the whole leaving mutually thing equates to. But this is now their team. I mean, they played their last match at the end of November, and it wasn't obviously going to plan for them in the stage 3 of the VCL North America for that season. They went down to this Blue Otter team with this team at the time, XSIF, T-Dog. They actually were top, well, maybe not top ACS, but top rating on the team that series. And then Sim, 7, GMD on the rest of the roster. And, of course, losing to a team that they weren't expected to lose to. This is the way their team currently is then. So 7 is still there with Sim and with GMD and with Recoil as their sub. But that is it for their roster. So that's where the speculation has come in. XXIF gone. I think he's honestly a pretty talented player. But they've got rid of him. So maybe that says something about the situation. And, we can look at his overall numbers and stuff here. And we can see how it's looked past 90 days or whatever. And look, he's been okay. Maybe not good enough to necessarily maintain the team. But it implies that there's some sort of internal team dynamics there that didn't necessarily go to plan, and that's where the theory has potentially then come to on TSM Rossy, or something to that effect. Rossy was off the Cloud9 team in controversial fashion. He, of course, did a great job last year, I thought, on T1. Then T1 decided to make the changes they have done. He ended up on Cloud9, seemed to be doing an excellent job initially, right? Obviously, they were looking pretty good with Rossy in the team. He was top fragging, and then the team has decided to blow it up in of course, very controversial. Fashion the community is, to some degree, I would say, preying on Cloud9's downfall as a result of the way they've treated a couple of their players over the last couple of years. But, it's just some discussion here on whether Rossy to TSM makes a lot of sense now, because for Rossy, one of the other bad things about the Cloud9 drama was that they dropped him at a time where it was not clear at all that he was going to be able to re-sign for a different team at an opportune moment, right? It seemed like the opportunities had passed, which is true, certainly for the Pro League for now. But, the possibility of joining a good challengers team that he's got history with before maybe makes a fair bit of sense going into the new season. But enjoy your thoughts in the comments below on all this type of stuff. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Happy New Year again, take care, and I'll see you next time.